Have you ever wanted to see Knocked Up, but if the characters had even less chemistry? Got you covered.
It's magical.
Family!
All of this, it's a lot. I have to tell him the truth.
Plan B is about Piper, who is not a great person, no. We first meet her getting thrown out of a club where she was, I think, alone, stone drunk, screaming at everyone, and then going back to her place, where she runs into her next door neighbour, who she thinks is creepy and weird, but she invites him in and has sex with him anyway. So not off to a great start, okay? She seems relatively shallow, like a kiddie pool. But then, after getting pregnant from sleeping with this guy and trying to get away from him, she refuses to tell him that he's the father of her child and instead finds, hunts, meets a rich guy who she can then entrap into thinking he's the father. And by this point, she's seeming more like the shallowness of a puddle, like I hate her. Her complaint that this man is not worthy of being the father of her child or whatever is that he is, and this is the quote, the literal definition of a man-child. I mean, all we see is that he crochets, has this fat, ugly cat, lives alone, wears suits, has a close relationship with his mother. He picks apart his meat when he eats it to check that it's... But, like, at worst, he is, like, mildly autistic. And they are walking around for the first half of this film acting like he is the worst piece of shit to ever get scraped off your shoe. Honestly, the whole thing feels a little bit like it's like an old-school sitcom. Like, the characters and some parts of the story feel taken from that, some of the silly situations. My problem with it is that if you saw a character in a sitcom that you knew and you'd known for, 50, 100 episodes, do something really bad, you'd kind of be like, oh, but you could get over it? I feel like because I don't know Piper before seeing her do terrible things and then do really, really terrible things, and then you only get to see her kind of feel reformed for like 5 minutes at the end, like, I don't really like her at any point. Yeah, even Ebenezer Scrooge changed faster, and she is just Scrooge with a mini dress. I think the main lesson to be taken from this is, ladies, never sleep with a man whose condoms are older than his wallet. Also, don't sleep with your neighbour. Or pick up a stranger you hardly know while you're drunk off your ass. God, come on, Piper. Maybe the worst part about this is the guy she actually manages to entrap and date and then tell him about the pregnancy, he's on board with it. And so are his parents and everybody. Like, oh, it is a shame. It's a little bit rough at times. But you know what? At the end of the day, despite me not loving the main character, it is pretty funny. It's not fantastic. It manages to not look cheaply made, even though it clearly didn't have a huge budget. But I thought that the actors were all passable. Jonheder was very good. And it was pretty fun. Jamie Lee does well at playing her character, but I really can't get over her. I mean, what kind of monster dumps the guy that you got pregnant with because you think he's not good enough for you, goes and entraps a different guy, complains at him a bunch, and then falls in love with the original guy? Like, monster from almost anybody's perspective. Like, it wouldn't have worked as a sitcom, but I don't know how to explain it other than that. It does feel like a sitcom, both in terms of look, because it didn't have a huge budget, so it looks more like the pilot episodes of like a TV show or something, but as well as that, I think just the various like people they've got around them, there's not loads and loads of characters, but I feel like there's enough that you could make a fun cast here and actually do something like that with this. The main problem is that the plot probably wouldn't stretch for enough episodes to really be a sitcom. And that is why it works better as a film. It was pretty solid. I don't feel like it's amazing or anything. I feel like it had some good jokes, some good moments in there, and it was pretty watchable. If I'd just seen this popping up on a streaming service or something, I'd kind of go, yeah, okay. So I'm giving Cocked Up 2 stars. They make fun of Jonheder in this by saying that he looks like the Scarecrow from Wizard of Oz, but honestly, I mean, if they were doing a remake, like, it's not the worst option. Also, let me know what else I should review in the comments, and don't be afraid to subscribe. I mean, if you feel the need.